Have you ever encountered something so good it strikes you with awe, where you want to share that newfound joy from the mountaintops to make someone feel the same way you do? Well, this channel isn't a mountain, but let's do it anyway. I've been a Pokemon fan for years. My brother and I played many of the games growing up, from the mainline entries to a lot of the spin-offs. The older I've gotten, the more distant I've grown from the franchise. While it will always hold a special place in my heart that I look back on quite fondly, even manifesting in a video of just that on my favorite entry, Pokemon Crystal, a few months ago, that excitement for the series has dampened. What I loved about Pokemon was that sense of discovery, the idea that if you just had a Pokedex and a starter, you could run out the door and begin your adventure, meeting some cool people along the way and making memories, bound by a shared passion of becoming a great trainer and a better person. I've been replaying some of the earlier entries and felt that joy revived, and what caused it wasn't a movie or a new mainline game, but the creation by a passionate fan that made me go, this is what I've been looking for. That creation is Pokemon Festival of Champions. What started as a YouTube recommendation to an excellent animated music video by Ninjaristic Ninja, link in the description below, it's insanely good, turned into a hunt for the source before being enthralled for 2 glorious days as I read the current 14 chapters released. Convinced that, finally, there's something that captures what Pokemon is all about. And that's what I want to share with you. With that said, trainers, get comfortable as I talk about Pokemon Festival of Champions. The best Pokemon media I've enjoyed in years. To be the best like no one ever was, a term familiar to anyone following the franchise. The opportunity to test their might is the Indigo League, a competition of trainers to see who will hold the spot as champion. The story follows 3 from Pallet Town, Red, Blue, and Green. All have much to prove as they test their mantle, some more than others. That's the premise for Festival of Champions, probably the shortest one I've ever given. But what makes this manga so great is that it's a damn good story, even if you're not a longtime fan of the series. But if you are, this manga will have you cracking a smile with cameos from across the games. Since this is a gathering of masters worldwide, trainers like Vulcan and Skyla feel like natural additions to the cast, and a certain eventual trainer in the stands had me happy to see him, portrayed as a little gremlin. The fights are so good in the series, conveyed with some stellar artwork and engaging choreography. Because this is a work where the only limitation is what the creator can draw, the fights have this energy and brutality that takes advantage of how Pokemon battles would occur realistically, with a captivating intensity, while also having enough fantastical aspects of Pokemon that make them memorable. There's this water-themed battle partway through that's so cool, and the pose Red strikes with his Lapras is the cherry on top that had me making joyful orangutan noises at the screen. The art is also incredibly cool for the Pokemon too, rendering these creatures in ways I never expected but feel so natural. Houndoom is easily a standout. Compared to the official art for the creature, it looks like it's out for blood. Besides looking sick, it also plays into the story of how cautious and skeptical people are of Dark-type Pokemon, as the research community has just recently discovered them. The art does more than replicate the originals, but enhances it by highlighting the emotions of the characters in Pokemon, from the joys of battle to feelings that rarely get represented in the series. And to articulate how, I want to put a spoiler warning for the story of Festival of Champions. I've covered all I wanted without going into this aspect, so if you've had your fill and want to discover what I'm about to mention on your own time, you've got my blessing, have a blast. But if you're curious or already read the series, thanks for sticking around. While the art is spectacular, the battle's great, and the series callbacks fun, what had me invested in this take of Pokemon was the story it's trying to tell. If you're like me, when you hear the term fanfiction, you think of highly passionate people making stuff they love. It may not click with you the same it does for them, but you can't deny they care about it, and that's pretty great. But when fanfiction does more than just take the idea of the original, but transforms it into something so captivating, it reminds you why you cared about it in the first place. Something that resonates harder than the recent work from one of the largest media juggernauts in the world, you know you're seeing something truly special. Festival of Champions is that for me, and could be for you too. Because while the manga focuses on the joy of Pokemon and the quest to become the best like no one ever was, what the story is really about is a group of friends coming to terms with loss and attempting to heal from it. And to set the stage, I need to bring up a theory from the original Pokemon games. In the first generation of Pokemon, the player will meet and battle their rival across the region. When you board the SS Anne, you re-encounter your rival, so it's time for another battle. You take on his Pidgeotto, Abra, the starter with a type advantage over yours, and Raticate, a standard occurrence. But it's when meeting him again that things start to get interesting. When you visit Lavender Town, a village known as the resting place for Pokemon, you enter the Pokemon Tower. Your rival's already there, and another battle commences. The fight seems just like any other. You fight a Pidgeotto, a Kadabra, the starter with a type advantage over yours. But then you notice that Raticate is gone, and 2 new Pokemon have joined the team. You may assume Raticate was swapped out, but a trainer can hold up to 6 Pokemon at a time, and your rival only has 5. Why isn't his Raticate there? He's willingly putting himself at a tactical disadvantage by not including them. Unless it wasn't his call. And that is the premise for the Raticate theory that appeared across the internet when the game came out. That during the battle on the SS Anne, Raticate was critically wounded and needed immediate medical attention, but with the ship brought out to open waters away from the nearest Pokemon Center, Raticate succumbed to their wounds and died. Your rival's appearance at Lavender Town was him putting his companion to rest. It's a dark theory, especially for a bright, colorful series like Pokemon, and if you look at the theory close enough, you'll find some cracks, but the idea was too good not to let players' imaginations run wild. The suggestion that this fun world of wondrous creatures had to deal with grief and loss is a compelling direction to take the story. And it's not coming out of nowhere. The game even mentions that Team Rocket had killed a Marowak in the town before you arrived. That potential for Pokemon to embrace darker subjects is there. If you believe that's a stretch, I would suggest taking a look at the games closely. Story beats and the occasional Pokédex entry paint some pretty disturbing pictures. But if you're one of the biggest media franchises in the world, the idea of taking that franchise into a more adult direction could be a considerable gamble. Something that could be a risk to the mega cash milk tank it is. But it's in that theory that Festival of Champions hinges its emotional core on. Early on Green's journey, he found a Rattata that was insanely good. We're talking perfect IVs good, with insane speed. The two formed a kinship, pushing each other to improve, with their skills and smugness on display when battling their friends, resulting in their victory. That was until that day. During an impromptu raid on a Team Rocket transport holding captured Pokemon, Green's Rattata, now a powerful Raticate, saves them from a devastating blow by Koffing before they escape through Rock Tunnel. But as they travel through the natural stone, Raticate, currently taking point for the team, begins to slow down. He's infected with Koffing's toxins. The heavy strain from continuing without rest hastened those symptoms. Until, once the group makes it out of the tunnel on the outskirts of Lavender Town, Green turns to his friend, relieved that it'll be smooth sailing from here, before gazing in horror that Raticate, one of his strongest teammates and closest partners, is dead. The passing of Raticate hurt everyone, from Green's friends to even their Pokemon, realizing they'll never battle again. They'll never share that experience of making each other stronger together. For Green, it instilled something else. Raticate's death could have been easily prevented. His friend had to save him because he was lacking as a trainer, believing Raticate's death wasn't because of a horrible event that happened to them. Instead, it was because of him. Raticate died because he wasn't good enough. So from that moment on, something changed in Green. He steeled his heart, adopting a cold exterior that pushed for excellence and refused excuses. His team was encouraged by Raticate's death to improve, taking the pain of training and becoming stronger as their only pleasure, to become the most powerful team in the world until no one could hurt them the way Raticate did. Anyone who wasn't with the program would be abandoned. And abandoned, one was. Eevee was close to Rattata, sharing his food and growing an affectionate bond, however strange it was at the time. He loved Rattata's sincere joy in being the best for his trainer. That was something he could respect and get behind. When Raticate died, Eevee was devastated in a way the rest of the party wasn't. Unable to fight, he would break down in tears and remind Green of his pain. Until one morning, Green looked down at this team member who was lost and scared and needed someone to be there, and kicked him off the team. In his eyes, because he couldn't fight, he wasn't providing for the team and would just drag them down, so he gives him to Blue and walks out of his life. Green solidified the idea that emotions would weigh him down on his quest. Nothing else mattered except proving he and his team were the strongest in the world. There is no room for sentimentality, no reminder of the friend he lost, the family member he loved, because stopping to acknowledge what happened to him and his team would crush him. Becoming the best like no one ever was is the only way to make Raticate's death mean something, and any trainers who talk about their bonds with Pokemon will not be tolerated. What a waste of time. And it's that Green we meet in the story, taking the role as the story's antagonist. His objective is to become the best by building up walls so no one can hurt him ever again. That is some stellar character work, making Green a fascinating character to me, adding some emotional weight and making him a great antagonist, one who invokes both anger in how he treats his team and friends, and sympathy as it stems from a place of understandable pain. But this characterization, in addition to the other trainers of Pallet Town, makes this take on Pokemon something extraordinary. And to explain why, we need to revisit Eevee. Once rejected by Green, Eevee's heart and spirit began to decline, entering a long period of REM sleep, secured in a dream. His new trainer Blue attempted to reach out, only for a sudden reaction to bring her fear of touching Pokemon back to life, first occurring out of a risk of physical pain, before evolving into a fear of rejection, a feeling of baring your heart and soul to someone in an attempt at connection, only to be coldly denied. That fear now separates her from her and her Pokemon, the team she's journeyed with all this time. But one day in the park, Blue's Ivysaur reaches out with one of his vines. As she recoils, she notices the vine trembling, and realizes this fear isn't just hers. Everyone's afraid of rejection, including her Pokemon, yet her friend is trying again, even if it scares him. And with that act of vulnerability, she embraces her Ivysaur and realizes what she has to do with Eevee. With the help of her Haunter, Blue travels into the dreamscape and discovers Eevee has given up on returning to the real world, and it's a hard sell when Blue sees the foundation for Eevee's dream. In this version, Eevee found an antidote and gave it to Green, catching the poison just before it takes effect, and Raticate is alright. Now everyone lives happily, and there's no pain. That is, until Blue shows up and her desire for the dream to end. Eevee fights back against the intruder and attempts to create an image she'll love, one where Red and Green are on par with her. They're back to the selves that all loved spending time together. But Blue knows it isn't real. Those aren't her friends. While she would love to spend time with them, they have their own ambitions, and she refuses to compromise the lives they chose for her happiness. Because, much like them, she has a goal as well, and to achieve that, she needs to leave. This declaration gets through to Eevee, and the two say goodbye to the dream, deciding to live for Raticate's sake. Because while the pain is still there, and always will be, they'll keep moving forward because they're alive, and they will bear that pain together. That determination evolves Eevee into Espeon at the dawn of a new day. And with this resolve, the team of Red and Blue enter the Indigo League with a goal. They'll battle with all they have, not only to be the best, but to demolish Green's philosophy and help their friend heal from his loss. Eevee's placement on Blue's team is more than just a vital party member, but a reminder that people are better than their worst moments, and together we can climb out of the abyss and return stronger for it while keeping our joy despite it. Pokemon Festival of Champions is the best Pokemon media I've seen in years. More than just exciting battles, callbacks to the series, and the Pokemon themselves. My favorite part is how it blends all these things into a mature story of loss and pain, and while we may feel broken because of this universal constant, we will make it through with each other. And that's a beautiful message. The release of chapters are pretty slow, but with how much care is put into the series, I'm all for the creator taking their time with it. And in the meantime, remember that journey in Pokemon is always yours. Pick a game, physical or emulated, it doesn't matter which one. Pick a starter, make a team, and enjoy yourself. Whether you're a longtime fan or a curious viewer, that adventure is always yours. All you have to do is press start. Thank you so much for watching.